Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin With Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thanks for logging on and tuning in. If you haven't done it yet, go on down and hit subscribe so you can come back over and over again and see some fantastic. We have artists, authors, filmmakers, musicians, creators of all kinds here on the Hangin With Web Show. So don't forget to subscribe. Check out the description down below for more information about our guests and our partners. And we are here in the home studio right now hanging with James Armstrong, the event coordinator for MegaCon Tampa Bay, which is running from September 29th through October 1st. We get to talk to so many fantastic creators while we're out doing the convention circuit, and so seldom do we get to talk to the guys that create the spaces where we ply our wares and share our creations. So right now we get to hang with James Armstrong. James, thanks for hanging with us, man.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, really. So let's talk about you first. How did you get involved with organizing such a massive event? I know you work all over. You just came from Fan Expo Toronto, right?
That's correct. I'm actually based in Toronto, and that's kind of where it all started. About 25 years ago, I was a retailer in the comic book industry. And from that, I met a lot of creators. Toronto is blessed with a lot of great talent. And I met the founder of what is now Fan Expo, and we just started doing little comic book shows together. In the beginning, it was just comic books. And then as it grew and things came into it like anime and science fiction and fantasy, it became a full-time job. So I closed up my shop and started working for the show full-time basis, and now we have almost an event every month in different cities and have a whole team.
That is really amazing. We have traveled to a lot of the smaller conventions and the guys that are just starting out, and it is so fantastic to see what used to be comic culture, and we were almost a subculture, and now we are pop culture. It's everywhere. And it must be an amazing thing to see from an organizer's perspective, to see that.
Oh, it is. There's many reasons for that, and we witnessed, well, for people my age, we witnessed the dawn of the internet, and that was, of course, a game changer for everything, everywhere, including the way people consume their entertainment. And fans began to find each other online and go into groups and discuss things, and they found out that there's a lot of us out there. We have a lot of things in common. It was only logical for them to pick a meeting place, and that's what MegaCon is all about, and all the events we do. There's a big social aspect to MegaCon and events like ours.
Absolutely, and you know, one of the things that we found is, you know, when you go to work during the day, well, most of the folks in the world, when they go to work during the day and they meet peers there, or the younger kids that go into college or whatever, you bond over that thing that you have to do. When we go to MegaCon, we get to bond with creators and fans alike based on what we love instead of what we have to do. So there's friendships that are just fantastic to have. So tell us, what can we expect from MegaCon Tampa Bay this year? This is the second Tampa Bay MegaCon, and what are you guys expecting? How's it looking so far?
Well, first of all, we've increased the size and the scope of MegaCon Tampa Bay. So last year we sort of went through the first year gears on learning the building and how to get people in and out efficiently, and so we're very confident in growing the show. And with that, we've added all kinds of guests, all kinds of attractions. So if you're into comic books, anime, science fiction, any of that kind of stuff, there's something basically for everyone there. There's a few sort of specialized highlights that we've done throughout our events in different cities that speak to that social aspect that I mentioned, which one of them is speed dating. So there's actually single folks out there that are looking for someone that they have something in common with. So what better place than to come down to MegaCon and you may meet someone very special.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Get your very own geek and get them while they're fresh. What have been some of the biggest challenges as the show has grown over the years?
Well, probably the biggest challenge, no matter what the location, is to get all these professionals and celebrities to be able to get to where the show is and make the schedule work. So particularly with working actors, they want to do these things. They want to be a part of it. But of course, their shooting schedule and things like that is not very rigid. It's always in flux. So trying to get everybody in the building at the right times is probably the greatest challenge.
Amen, amen. And we this will be our first MegaCon Tampa Bay. We do MegaCon here in Orlando each year, and have watched it grow. It was an amazing show this year. Folks, if you don't know this, you can get your tickets on sale right now. In fact, as you're watching this, as soon as you stop, you're going to click on down in the description and go over to MegaConTampaBay.com and grab your tickets for this event. It's going to be fantastic. So, what would you say you're most excited about for MegaCon Tampa Bay this year?
Well, I'm always excited to meet the guests and see them on stage and thrill a large audience. And one of them is a legend, William Shatner from Star Trek, who was supposed to be with us last year. He's been gracious enough to rearrange some things so he won't let us down, and he's going to come in, and he's always a great act. And we have Ian Somerhalder for all the ladies. He seems very popular.
Behind the camera, smiles just lit up. It just happened. We can't wait to see you guys out there. We know obviously William Shatner's going to be out there. Would you say is that the guest appearance that's got you the most excited? What's the guest appearance for you that's like the biggest thing for you? You're just most excited about? I know you're a huge Star Trek fan.
Well, yeah, I mean, Shatner would probably be my first, but John Barrowman is a fan favorite. He's on Arrow right now.
Yep.
If you've ever seen his Q&A, it's amazing. There's always something surprising and hilarious that he does. And of course, we got Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes are coming as well. So
they're Silent Bob Get Old. I'm going to be there. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and a couple of folks from something's really hot right now from Stranger Things. So they've been season 2, and everybody's really excited, waiting for that to come. And we just had the guys here at the Toronto event, and it was a packed house, and they were really, really entertaining. It's like, they're just very young men, and it's
amazing. These are amazing kids. I've seen them on shows. I've seen them at conventions. These are amazing young kids. They have sort of, they are the antithesis of what we've come to expect from our children actors, because these guys have just fallen right into it and done it so well with such grace.
Oh, I agree. What they bring to the show is, I think, is a bit of a surprise to the live audience. It's just like they've been doing it all their lives, and they're so natural and authentic, and no matter what questions came up, they always had a quick and proper answer.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. So, you've been doing conventions now a long time, first in the comic book industry, now with the convention for a while now. What is your most memorable convention moment?
Well, one that just happened on Saturday, I will mention. I was contacted by a young man that wanted to propose to his girlfriend at the show. Now, this has happened many times, and we've actually had weddings performed at some of our events. But this one was special in the fact that it was one of our star cosplayer guests. Her name is Holly Wolf, and he had it all planned out in a Legend of Zelda theme, in which he would surprise her at her booth. With his family and friends and his young son, and it was just a touching and moving moment, and very memorable, and everybody's still talking about it. So that's magical things happen.
It is. It's a really amazing thing. For those of you out on the World Wide Web, if you haven't been to a convention yet, they are amazing places. You make fantastic friends. You learn new stuff all the time. Those of you who watch the Hangin With Web Show routinely have seen our MegaCon coverage. You also know we travel around with little cosplay Michael, who is always ready to take pictures with people and loves it. Now, we heard an interesting thing about you. So I'm going to ask this next question. She's going to give me a question. Give me a question. Give me a question, okay? And so we're going to ask you this next question, but we want you to answer it in a foreign language. So if you could captain your very own starship, what would you name her? Answer in Klingon.
My Klingon is rusty. I do remember how to say "beam me up" in Klingon.
Give it to us. Give us a shot.
Choi-chu.
You know what? I'm going to go and say that's dead on, because everybody remembers the original Star Trek film series, and I can remember that from the planet.
Right.
That's right. So that's fantastic. Okay, so we're going to have a little bit of fun here now. If you could be a part of any comic or pop culture universe, what would it be?
Well, yeah, that is a very broad question.
Insert yourself where you could be in a fantasy world. We'll give it a time limit. You only have to stay a day.
Yeah. Well, a day.
You get a day in any universe.
I would have to say the Tolkien universe. So Lord of the Rings, for me, was where it started. I got that book when I was 12. I got The Hobbit when I was 12, and then read all of them several times since. I was very worried about the movie. You know, I didn't think that they could do it, but I fell in love with the movies, of course. So I would pick the Tolkien universe for sure.
Awesome. Peter Jackson did a fantastic job, particularly with the Lord of the Rings series. I know he had to change some things up in The Hobbit when he, to stretch that out a little bit. But all told, as a movie universe, he really set a great tone. And he reminded all of us in filmmaking and in front of a camera, you can do anything if you will put the time, energy, and love into it. And that's great on him, because that's Tolkien's message. You can do it. And even the hobbits get to do it. So we have Tampa Bay MegaCon coming up September 29th through October 1st. You can get your tickets at MegaConTampaBay.com. It's at the Tampa Bay Convention Center. Is that right?
That's correct.
That's fantastic. And now after that, now that's the one we're focusing on right now. But where are you headed to? What are you planning next? What's coming up after that? This is
our next event after that is in Dallas, and then back up to Canada in Vancouver, and that's actually the last calendar year show for us. But of course, we're already working on everything for 2018, including MegaCon Orlando, which you mentioned earlier, was probably a highlight show for us this year. We had the challenge of being in a different building. But the fans were fantastic. They came out in force, and of course the guests just, made it all worthwhile with outstanding performances and memories that everyone will have for a long time.
We had such a great time at MegaCon Orlando this year, even with the new building and things getting all worked out. We were grateful. There was a small media room where we could do our interviews and interview our creators from the floor. And our little guy, we bring Cosplay Michael with us everywhere, and he got to go in his Captain Mal and see Gina Torres' panel and
awesome.
Steal the show there. Him and Gina on stage going back and forth as Captain Mal and Zoe. So we will never forget that show, nor will the tiny person. So you guys are doing a fantastic job. We're so grateful for what you do, bringing all of these fantastic creators together under one roof, giving fans and audiences a chance to get to know them a little bit on a personal level. When you're at a convention, you stop by those tables and you get to talk to people and meet people, and they're fantastic places to be. The cosplay is off the hook at a MegaCon event. It really is. If you guys haven't seen some of the work that goes into these cosplayers, you got to get to a convention. We could talk to James all day long, because we actually stalked him on Facebook before the interview, and we have so much more in common, guys. But you're going to have to go on the internet and find out more about MegaCon if you want to know more about James. So we're going to wrap it up here, and as we do, we're going to say our special thanks to our partners and friends at Something Unique Magazine, Space Coast Comics, Wordfire Press, Famous Faces and Funnies, Off the Chain Radio with author Yvonne Mason, and of course our great friends over at MegaCon at Fan Expo for MegaCon Tampa Bay. Check them out at MegaConTampaBay.com. Get your tickets while they're on sale. This episode will be dropping. You still got a couple weeks. So get out there and get that. I'm GW Pomichter. We've been hanging with James Armstrong, an event coordinator from MegaCon Tampa Bay from Fan Expo. September 29th through October 1st, folks. Remember, subscribe, log on, tune in, and see who we're hanging with next. Thank you.